it's really pretty dangerous outside, to be honest with you. Nobody should be out. Nobody.
Well, I hope there aren't too many people in the path. You don't want to be in that path. That's a path you don't want to be in, and we tried to warn everybody. And for the most part, they've left, but that's a bad path to be in.
This is a life-threatening situation. Take this deadly storm seriously. Overnight, the moment Florida had braced for. Irma hit land and the Sunshine State went dark. Thousands hunkered down in shelters and sports stadiums to ride it out. Animals were taken to a safe place. This was too much rain, too much water, even for the two-legged variety. There was a mandatory evacuation order in parts of Florida, but some decided to stay put.
Our building here is built in '67. It's pre-stressed concrete slabs on poured concrete walls, so we feel pretty confident. We've been through a lot of storms in that over the years. In Hurricane Wilma, we had the water come up to the second set of block. We're anticipating the same thing to happen.
Boats were tied down and fingers were crossed.
The authorities have been quite clear, though, that they say
Sure,
it's a danger to life staying.
And that's understandable, and that really is the truth for most locations. But at 13.5 foot of elevation with another 10 feet on top of that, plus the fact that the building is so strong, that's our advantage.
Key West was where Irma first made landfall. Even sturdy historic monuments like the Castillo de San Marcos in San Agustin couldn't escape Mother Nature. In Naples, further up the coast, water levels rose by 2 meters in just 90 minutes. Fort Myers was next in its path. Fog swirled around skyscrapers and roads were flooded.
This is the situation right now. Around Brickell Bay, the water from the bay has started to go inside the buildings, the lobby of the buildings. But it's really pretty dangerous outside, to be honest with you. Nobody should be out. Nobody.
In Tampa, as in much of Florida, the streets were deserted. Water was sucked out of the harbour by the storm, a misleading prelude for what was about to come. The authorities were worried about a storm surge.
I've never seen nothing like this. I think we're pretty prepared for it. Our house is all boarded up and everything.
Just about the wind mostly and trees coming down. We're up in activation level C, so I'm not really worried about the water up there, but just the wind and trees.
We were just a little curious to see what the water level was like and how things were down here and get outside before we have to hunker down.
Yeah.
By the time it reached the city, the hurricane had lost some of its power, but none of its fearsome reputation. Irma made landfall on the southern shores of Florida early on Sunday evening. As it approached the state, it increased in strength and changed direction. Miami was spared a direct hit. The Florida Keys were hit hard, though, with winds of 130 miles per hour. As she progressed, she gradually downgraded to a Category 1 storm with winds of 75 miles per hour as it moves along Florida's west coast. By the morning, the centre of the storm was about 60 miles north of Tampa, moving north towards Georgia and weakening into a tropical storm. Before Florida, Cuba took a battering. It proved to be a cruel few hours for the island. Not only did Irma change track to smash into the northern coast, she also suddenly gained strength as well. 170-mile-per-hour winds and heavy rain caused havoc. And this is the British Virgin Islands. Virtually no home has been undamaged. Infrastructure has been ripped apart.
People of the British Virgin Islands, this is Governor Gus Jasper. I come to you with a heavy heart after experiencing and observing the extent of devastation caused by Hurricane Irma. After consultation with the Premier, I have declared a state of emergency for the territory.
It's like a war zone there. The houses have gone, it's flattened. People are just wandering around carrying whatever they've got in their hands. It's truly horrendous.
One eyewitness has described the BVI as ground zero. Another resident thinks it will take a year or more to rebuild.
Power lines are down, water is down, there's debris everywhere. There's people walking around homeless, some dead. Families are grieving.
The hospital has also been badly damaged. A doctor on holiday in Spain has been in touch with colleagues there.
There are still some of my colleagues that are unaccounted for, that they've heard nothing from. We don't know if they survived. They're the kind of people that would have been straight there to help.
More British aid has been flown out by the RAF today, medical equipment and heavy lifting gear. 120 prisoners on the island escaped during the hurricane, and so officers from the Metropolitan Police have also gone to the British Virgin Islands to help with law and order.
The scale of the devastation is unprecedented. So, of course, people are experiencing great hardship, and our job right now is to make sure that we can alleviate that hardship through the response on the ground, getting food, water, hygiene, shelter to people that desperately need it. And we are doing that, but obviously the need is great, and we're constantly replenishing supplies.
On the island of Saint Martin, troops now patrol the streets of the territory. This was one of the worst hit. 2 people were killed here and more than 40 injured. The island is jointly administered by the French and the Dutch. This footage was filmed by Marines from the Netherlands military. There are now 200 extra troops on the island helping to deliver aid and restore order amid reports of looting. A few hundred people have also been evacuated to Guadeloupe, including Johanna Cardona, who gave birth the day after the hurricane struck.
I was in the house during the storm. It was horrible. The house fell apart. Now it's war in St. Martin for food, water. There's no electricity, no air, nothing.
The Bahamas is counting its blessings. The storm hit, but it was a glancing blow, and it has emerged largely unscathed. The holiday nation has been spared the ordeal that befell its Caribbean neighbours. They prayed for mercy, and those prayers were answered. This is what it did to the Turks and Caicos Islands, though.
Was to 9:30, I wasn't inside, and the breeze stopped blowing, carry all the roof, everything gone. I was inside. But I see too risky for me. Like about 10 o'clock, I got to run, and I fall down, all my hand bruised up, and I lost everything. That's the roof head, that's the roof, everything gone. Clothes, everything. Everything gone.
Florida, of course, has been here before.
At this hour, we're issuing a hurricane warning for the southeast coast of Florida, extending from Vero Beach southward through the Florida Keys. Hurricane
Andrew devastated Miami County in 1992. killing more than 60 people and destroying 125,000 homes. On the left, this is what Andrew looked like 25 years ago. Irma is the storm on the right. It dwarfs it. This was the scene in Tampa as it woke up at the beginning of a new week. People are starting to return home cautiously. One of the first tasks will be to restore power. 5.7 million homes across Florida are without electricity.
We are still, of course, worried about the storm surge and the heavy rain that will be associated with what is left of Irma. So that the next drop down from a Category 1 would be to a tropical storm, and those are bad enough. Then a tropical depression. And we're looking at it going into the mountainous areas of Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, and on into Tennessee. It'll be dropping about 4 or 5 inches of rain, and when you drop that kind of rain in a mountainous area, flash flooding, of course, is a problem. We are also forecasting winds upwards of 50 miles per hour, so you can expect some wind damage, shingles coming off roofs, things like that.
After days of nervous waiting, Irma is finally dying out. She's been downgraded to a tropical storm. The strongest hurricane in history hasn't quite blown its last, but it has done its worst.